people look at North Africa today, countries like Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco, a common question comes up. If this is Africa, why don't the people look black like those in Sub-Saharan Africa? Some assume the answer must involve slavery, ethnic cleansing, or people being bred out of existence. But the real explanation is much older, much deeper, and far more grounded in human evolution, geography, and migration than in disappearance or replacement. First, an important clarification. Black people have always existed in North Africa, and they still do today, particularly in southern regions, oases, and along historic trade routes. What's different is the dominant population of the region, which formed very early in human history. To understand why North Africa looks the way it does, we have to go back tens of thousands of years, long before Arabs, Islam, or even written history. Africa is not one environment. North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa are separated by one of the most powerful natural barriers on Earth, the Sahara Desert. The Sahara isn't just sand. It functioned for most of history as a genetic and cultural wall. Crossing it was extremely difficult, which meant that populations north and south of it evolved largely independently, despite being on the same continent. North Africa developed in a Mediterranean climate, with cooler winters, less intense ultraviolet radiation, and different food sources compared to equatorial Africa. These environmental differences matter because skin color is an evolutionary response to sunlight. Dark skin protects against extreme UV radiation and folate loss, while lighter skin allows the body to produce enough vitamin D in low UV environments. North Africans lived in a zone where extreme melanin wasn't necessary, but very pale skin wasn't optimal either. Over thousands of years, natural selection favored olive, tan, and light brown skin tones. This process happened long before Arab expansion. Ancient DNA shows that early North Africans were closely related to Mediterranean and Levantine populations and shared ancestry with Southern Europeans and West Asians. These traits existed thousands of years before Islam or large-scale historical migrations. North Africans didn't lose sub-Saharan traits over time. They simply never evolved them in the first place because their environment didn't demand it. North Africa was also one of the earliest migration corridors out of Africa. Some populations moved north into the Levant and Europe, while others moved west along the Mediterranean coast. For thousands of years, North Africa experienced repeated mixing with Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, and later Arab populations. This continuous gene flow reinforced intermediate skin tones rather than pushing the population toward very dark or very light extremes. Sub-Saharan Africa, meanwhile, remained relatively isolated by the Sahara, allowing very dark skin to remain strongly advantageous and dominant. Slavery is often brought up as an explanation, but it doesn't account for North Africa's overall appearance. Trans-Saharan slavery did exist, but North Africa already looked the way it does long before those trade networks expanded. Ancient Egyptian art, Roman records, and genetic evidence all confirm that lighter and intermediate skin tones were present in the region thousands of years earlier. Slavery affected demographics at the margins, not the foundation of the population. Why does North Africa feel different from the rest of Africa? Because Africa is not a single biological or evolutionary category. North Africans are African by geography, history, and ancestry, but their evolutionary path was shaped by climate, migration routes, long-term isolation from sub-Saharan Africa, and continuous contact with the Mediterranean world. That's why North Africa often resembles southern Europe or the Middle East more than equatorial Africa. There are no missing people, no erased population, no hidden genocide. What we're seeing is simply the result of tens of thousands of years of geography, sunlight, migration, and evolution. Africa didn't produce one look, it produced many, and North Africa tells one of the oldest human stories of all.